Hey, it's your open source advocate, and I'm about to go through a video that's decently long, like most of my videos are. And based on your responses to my poll on YouTube, I'm going through how I use all of the things that I've shown you over the last year. And it's a lot of stuff, so you're going to see a bunch more tabs opened up in my browser. And I'm going to go through those things and explain what I'm doing with those tools. I'm sure I've missed a few, but I am in the description going to put the timestamps, which should put little markers on the YouTube video so you can kind of jump around to the things you want to see. In addition to that, I'm going to put some links here on the upper right side of the screen so that you can see those things and you can jump over to those videos if you're interested in more information about that tool or that utility or that program or that application and how you can get it set up to work for you. I hope you enjoy this, and if you do, like, subscribe, and let your friends know about it so they can come along on the journey with us. It's your open source advocate, and I'm back. I just wanted to go over a few of the things that I've touched base on with you guys over the last year. I can't believe it's been a year that I've been making these videos, but I have, and I hope you're getting a lot out of the things that I'm showing you. I'm a huge open source advocate, so if you don't know me, if you've never seen any of my videos before, you can come to Open Source is Awesome or shownotes.opensourceisawesome.com, and you can click on the About, and this tells you a little bit about me. I've got just an extremely varied background. Lots of people do, but you know, I've always been interested in computers since I was a kid. You know, very young. My parents provided me with a computer and my brother, and I really got into it. And then getting older and going through high school and everything like that. When I graduated, I got an x86 type machine, and then through college, through graduate school, everything like that. I constantly was using computers for different reasons, and just over the years really just started getting into open source software and really loving the open source movement. So that's kind of why I do this channel. I love open source software. I mean, I work for a company that makes proprietary closed source software. That's my day job. That's what I do. I love what I do because it makes a huge difference in safety for people. I work on software that is made for public safety, which is law enforcement, fire departments, EMS, medical personnel, and it's a very rewarding job. But when I'm here at home, I love to use open source software for anything and everything that I can. So I put a poll out there on YouTube this past week to kind of ask what you'd be interested in hearing, and overwhelmingly you said that first you'd like to know how do I use a lot of the things that I've shown you over the last year. So I've got a ridiculous number of tabs open, and I'm just going to go through this. So first off, DigitalOcean. I do use DigitalOcean. I used to have a lot more DigitalOcean containers or DigitalOcean droplets here, but I still have a few for very specific things. So I do run the remotely software, which I don't have a tab open for that, but I'll open it here. Oh no, I do have a tab open for it. I do run the remotely software that I've shown you in the past. I do run a VPN using WireGuard. I also run my own email server. I run a web server, an email server for my Linux user group that I started when I lived in Lubbock, Texas. I still take part in those meetings even though I don't live there anymore. Those guys have been great. We get online and we have those meetings. And then I run a PBX system that basically I use that as my work phone for my regular day job, so I have them basically forwarding my work calls to this PBX system, which handles voicemail, handles letting me know that somebody called if I missed the call, and lets me answer it when I'm in the office from my computer, or I can answer it from an app on my phone, or I can answer it from a desk phone that I actually have that can answer the PBX system. So I may cover the PBX at some point. You know, I got far enough to get everything set up the way that I wanted to, and it's been a long time since I've set it up. It just kind of works. I just keep it up to date and it just keeps working. So I've kind of forgotten a little bit of the knowledge that I learned as I was going through that, but it did take me a while to get a grip on how to set that up. But I really like it, so I may go back to it because it is open source, and maybe I'll do that. If you guys would be interested, let me know. Definitely want to look at it. I have had a request for a PBX system in the past. I got really far on getting it set up and getting it working, and then I hit a couple of hurdles that I just couldn't get over, so I haven't finished up on that one yet, but I'm still working on it as well. So if you know who you are and you've asked for that, it's coming. It's just something I'm working on. So just to kind of go through this, first of all, referrals wise, so this is SSD Nodes. I use their services as well. So I've heard from different people since I've started using them that, hey, you know, I heard that SSD nodes is you know, just a scam or something like that. I so far, and I've been on this for several months now, have had no issues with SSD nodes. It is not as fast of a virtual machine as a droplet on DigitalOcean. I'll tell you that now. Now it's a much more, I don't want to call it robust, but it's a bigger system, so it's got a lot more RAM allocated to you, and it's got a lot more hard drive space for a much lower price than DigitalOcean. So if you're just looking to spin up something simple like I have on my DigitalOcean sites, you know, something like this where it's very specific and I don't really want to run other stuff on that server, then DigitalOcean is definitely the way to go in my opinion. There's other services out there, Linode, you know, I don't know of all of them, but there's several out there, so you don't have to use DigitalOcean. I just happen to like DigitalOcean and the way that things run and the way that things work on it, so you know, I use it. But SSD nodes, I came across this on Reddit. Somebody else had suggested it. I came and looked at it and saw that they had some deals going. Now, it always looks like they have a deal that's about to expire. So far, I have not seen it expire, even though it always says it's going to expire in 3 days or something. So I got a really nice system, and it cost me a lot less than all of the servers that I was running on DigitalOcean, which for me is great because I can cut my costs and still run those things. I don't run a lot of servers that are for tens of thousands of users. I run servers that are for me and a few people, right? So for me, SSD nodes has been great. I noticed that 6 people have used my referral code to sign up, and I totally appreciate that you did that. I hope you have as good of an experience with them as I did. If you don't, let me know, because I don't want to keep putting the referral code in my videos if you guys are having a bad experience. But so far I've had a really good experience myself, a positive experience using them. I don't think that they know that I exist, honestly, so I just went and asked for a referral code and they gave it to me. I think anybody can do that. But I do use SSD nodes, and I appreciate you guys that have signed up using that referral code. And also DigitalOcean, I have a referral code, and I appreciate all of the people that have signed up for DigitalOcean use my referral code as well, because it gives me credits and that helps support the servers that I run and the things that I do for this channel, where I create droplets and leave them up for a few weeks and things like that as well. So I've talked about Portainer on a few videos in the past. I love Portainer. This is a great way to manage your Docker containers. If you haven't seen my Portainer videos, I will put a card up here in the upper right, I think is where it pops up, so that you can click and go see some of those videos. But yeah, I do have some Portainer videos out there. They're great. So if you've heard of Docker and you've never wanted to dive into Docker, or it looked like it was just too much in the terminal, Portainer kind of takes that away a little bit, not completely, but some, because it has pre-built images that you can just go tell it, hey, you know, I want to install this thing on a Docker instance, and it pulls it down and it does it for you, and it's kind of a graphical user interface. So here you can see I've got 19 containers running. Now it also pulls in the Docker containers that you start from Docker Compose or from just the Docker command line. But once you have it, you can kind of check things out. So see, like down here, I've got my GitLab instance stopped right now. I just don't run it all the time. But everything else you can see here is running, so I can go out here and kind of look at all the different containers that I've got running, and for different reasons and different things. So I do use Portainer. It's not something where I told you guys about it and then I don't use it. I definitely use it. I've got, after Portainer, then I also use NGinX Proxy Manager, so I've done a few videos on that as well. I really like this tool. If you're somebody who's been looking for a way to get a proxy manager up in front of your websites and let the proxy manager do its job and really handle all of the traffic for you, and you want to have SSL encrypted sites, then I highly recommend NGinX Proxy Manager for that, because it really just gives you all of that capability and quite a bit more, honestly. There are some setups and sites that it doesn't handle well today, like if you have a bunch of subfolders to get to the site you want to run, and then some other site runs on some other, you know, deep subfolder. It doesn't seem to handle that well. I believe that's been reported on the open source project, and those guys are working on it. The guy who made this is working on it. He's aware of it. I can't say enough that when I show you things that are open source, I try to link to their GitHub pages and to their main pages. If you have something that you're like, I'm running this and I'm not seeing the same results that Brian showed me on this video, man, go to those GitHub sites, you know, report an issue, ask questions. You know, if they have a community site, go find their community site and ask questions there, because you're going to get such great responses. I think you'll really be happy with the responses you can get. I will say this, when you ask questions, the biggest thing that I see is people just put in help. Well, that's such a generic, weird, spammy kind of thing to put on any site. Don't put help in the title of your post. Put a decent post title, like, you know, tried to set up NGinX Proxy Manager with multiple subfolders and not getting to the site that I want. And then inside of the post, you know, literally tell them, like, you know, I went into here, I clicked on the add button, and then in the modal, I clicked on tab 1, and here's what I put in those fields. I clicked on tab 2, here's what I put in those fields. I clicked on tab 3, here's what I did to get SSL, and it didn't work for me. Here's the error I got, or I just am not getting to the site I expected. I'm getting some error on a page when I go. Those kind of details are what will get people to respond to you, because you've given them good steps to reproduce your problem. You've given them good steps to go look into it and see what's going on. Sometimes they may ask you for logs, and if you don't know how to get the logs, it's okay to say that and tell them, hey, I don't know how to get the logs. If you'll tell me how, I'll try to get them for you. And then get those logs and provide it back to them, because that can help them solve the problem for you a lot of times. So all of these things that I show you that are open source all have great communities around them. Definitely get in there, use those communities, be a member of the communities, because it just makes the experience better for you and everybody else. Whenever you learn something, you can share that. So this is NGinX Proxy Manager. I really do use it, and in fact, I use Portainer not only on my outside network, but I also have Portainer running inside my network on a server that's here at my house. And you can see I've got 7 containers running, and I do run a few things, and I'll go through those here in a minute. But I use Portainer on more than one server as well. Same way with NGinX Proxy Manager. This is NGinX Proxy Manager working inside my network as well, so that I don't have to forward a bunch of ports from the outside and do some crazy stuff. The next one that I talk about quite a bit is BitWarden. I really do use BitWarden. You can see it up here in my browser, and probably you've seen me go into it a few times and log in to actually go and try to get my passwords or get logged into DigitalOcean, things like that. I store pretty much everything that I have a login for inside of BitWarden. I let it do its job for me, and I let it store everything and encrypt it. And it's a great, amazing product. You can self-host it. You can use their online service. It's completely up to you. But man, it's terrific, and I love it because it's open source. There's a lot of closed source versions. There's 1Password. There's I don't even remember all the names of them. There's one that had a deer for a thing. A Dashlane, I think, is the name of it. You know, there's lots of them out there that you can use. Use something for a password manager. If you're not going to use an open source one, at least use something, because it's so important for you to have different passwords for every site. And BitWarden really helps me do that, and has a password generator. And I've got a video on that as well. So as I go through these tabs, I'll put a little card up here for any of the videos. If you're interested in seeing that video about it, you can go back and check it out. I'll try to do some update videos this year as well, because I do want to keep up to date on the things that are out there. But yeah, BitWarden is a huge one, and I use it, I mean, constantly for work, for home, for everything else that I do. Discourse, so I do have a video out there on forums, because almost any modern project that has a forum is using Discourse these days. They're not all doing that, but a lot of them are. Now this is for my Linux user group as well, and we have meetings every month, and we have news that we post occasionally. I used to post on it a lot more, but yeah, I mean, we've just got all kinds of sections in here, and I really have it set up a little bit more like a forum, a blog. I don't know. It's so out of the gate, or out of the box. Discourse actually kind of lays things out as the last thing that was entered, or the last thing that was replied to comes up to the top. But you can change that so that it sorts things differently. So you can basically do by labels, and or latest, and then you can do top. So this is really more what you generally kind of see whenever you come to a Discourse forum. It looks a lot more like what you see here, where you can see who replied and how many replies there have been, things like that. But I default it to the categories section, because we're always looking for when's the next meeting and news and things like that. But I do use Discourse, and I keep it up to date as much as possible. I don't update to every single beta that comes up, but I do keep it up to date, and I do back up. I do download my backups and things like that. So you should always keep track of your backups and stuff. So this is a WordPress site that I run also on SSD Nodes. So all of those containers that you saw, I run 4 or 5 WordPress sites. This is my personal business that I run here locally in Del Rio. I do computer repair and IT work, and I'll set up, you know, sites and things like that for people as well. So I really do use all of the things, almost all of the things that I've shown you. I actually use them in real life. And I run all of that stuff on SSD nodes, and those are all running on WordPress and Docker. Discourse is running in Docker as well. So again, lots and lots of stuff in Docker remotely. So this is one that I'm running on DigitalOcean on its own droplet, and this is the one that I told you about that lets you do remote desktop support, kind of like AnyDesk or TeamViewer or GoToAssist or just so many others that are out there that cost tons and tons and tons of money. There's a really great guy who made this project, and he continues to work on it, even though if you go to his GitHub site, he does have a little notice there that he's not working on it as much as he used to be. He's kind of had some burnout, but we get to benefit, and he's a really cool guy. So this is a great tool. I use this pretty regularly to remote into other people's systems and help them with things, especially family and friends and things like that. And I really like it. So remotely is a really cool tool. I don't run it in Docker. I imagine if I put a little effort in, I could probably make a Docker container to run it. But it's not already ready in a Docker container. And honestly, I have a lot of projects already going, so I haven't done that yet. But it's really cool. I like remotely quite a bit. Great project. So as we continue moving, I've done Ampache before. So this is a music streamer that basically lets you just stream music. I think it'll do video, somebody said. So one of my viewers also was asking about streaming video, which I didn't realize this could do, but apparently it can. I just use it for music. I've got a huge music collection that I've had for years and years and years and years and years. I grew up in the 80s, so I love hair metal and hair metal bands, or hair bands, I guess is what you'd call them. You can kind of see a few of the ones that I really like here. But I've had these songs out there forever in iTunes, and while I still use Mac and I still use Apple stuff, I like kind of having control over my media that I own and I've paid for. So I've slowly been moving things over to my own server for this as well. And Apache's it's a really cool streamer. It has subsonic capabilities for the API on the back end. So if you find a subsonic mobile app, you can connect it to your Apache system and basically stream your music to your phone or download it to your mobile devices to take with you as well. So for me, that makes total sense because I want something like iTunes, but I want to have the control over it. You know, that's the reason I do that. So this is my application for running. This is Shinobi, which I've done a video on Shinobi as well. So this have a couple of security cameras, and I've done videos where I basically made security cameras in the past. And there goes my mom. I don't know where she's headed, but so yeah, so you can see they're actually running right now. But yeah, this is looking at some garden stuff that we have over on the side of my driveway, kind of headed towards the alleyway, and then this is my regular backyard and my porch. But yeah, this is Shinobi, so this is for basically monitoring security cameras, and Shinobi can handle all kinds of security cameras. And again, this is running in Docker, and then you set up your cameras, and they're IP cameras in this case that I'm running. And Shinobi can basically handle lots and lots of cameras. You can set up your grids and modify, and I've got videos out there on Shinobi as well. And it can do motion detection, and then you can have it record, or it can record all the time, and then you can have it dispose of the recordings after so many days. It's a really cool system, and it shows you kind of how much of the system resources it's using right now to kind of be doing these streams. But Shinobi is really another one that I use. It's not one that I just made a video to make a video. I actually use it all the time. And these are two cameras that I built out of Raspberry Pi Zeros, and they run MotionEyeOS, which I think I've got that up next. Let me see here. But this is MotionEyeOS, so this is actually the operating system running on those Raspberry Pi Zero cameras, and this is the stream that you get out of it. And then of course you get a lot of controls over here to kind of control what's happening on the cameras. And again, I've got videos on how MotionEyeOS works as well. But this is what I then feed into Shinobi. So it's a really great system. So I'm going to move over a little bit more here. So this is Metabase. This is basically a really incredible system that can read out of multiple types of databases, and it gives you all kinds of different information about the data that it reads. It can basically do a bunch of things to analyze that data and try to provide you charts and graphs and information and analytics out of that data automatically. But then you can also go and create your own analytics. So I'm going to kind of click on this a little bit and let you see a few of the dashboards that I've created. But this is, my wife sells things on eBay, and she wants to see information about what she's selling and how much she's selling and how well she's selling, and all kinds of stuff. So I make these charts, and as she has new things that she's wondering, if the data is available, I pull that data down every month and I upload it into the database that Metabase is reading from, and then it updates these charts, and I'll make her new charts and new dashboards. So I'll click on this one here, and you'll be able to kind of see what's going on. So just different information, right? Like what's the best days of the month where she has different sales. So the 8th day of the month is generally her best sales day for some reason, and then around the 25th, 26th tends to be another really good sales day, and then 23rd-ish also is a good sales day. So I just gave it some data, and it really kind of was able to figure this stuff out. So as you go through, so I can see different things, monthly price per item, basically trend. So here you can see for October 2019, she was selling at $11.81 per item on average. So this is just an average. Doesn't mean every item she sold was $11.81. But here she can kind of see, like, is she doing, as she's moving forward, what months does she seem to sell better, per item? What months does she seem to sell less? And as we move out more through time, we'll be able to get trends out of this and figure out like what's going on and what things is she selling better. Here, 120 items, and it gives us kind of basically, compared to the last quarter, is it up or down? This doesn't have the full quarter yet, so it's not exactly accurate, but she can see these things and kind of compare time, time over time trends. And then she can go back to here, and I just have all kinds of dashboards here that tell her all kinds of things. So I kind of show her, which states does she sell best in, and then you can map that out, and the darker the colors, the better. So California is a pretty good sales state, Texas, Florida. So you can just kind of see that information. It's just information of interest for her to kind of, keep track of, and so I have just different dashboards built. But Metabase, if you have data and you want to do analytics and you're not like a SQL guru, Metabase is an awesome system that you can do a lot of stuff with. Basically, you go into your raw data. So let me get into the raw data, and I'll kind of show you. So you say, I want to ask a question, and I'm just going to say simple question. That's pretty much what everything there is. And I'm going to say eBay info, and then you pick the table. So if you have more than one table, I don't. I just have one table. So when I upload the data, as I upload the data, I run some SQL scripts that pulls out the month name and the day name for the sale, and a lot of that data that you see in Metabase then being pulled out is from these columns, which makes it really nice, makes it really easy. It's just a simple script that does it for me. And then I've got dates, and I've got times, and I've got all kinds of other things that we can look at and figure out, a lot of trends that she's seeing. So this is kind of what the data looks like. And then I can say that I want to filter on certain data. So it's really, it's just, I want to filter this by, instead of filtering, so we'll summarize. So we'll do sold for. So right off the bat, it just tells you, okay, here's the amounts that you sold things for, and here's the count for those things for how much you sold them for. So this may not be super useful because you may sell things for all kinds of different prices, but you can see that there are maybe some price points that may come out as like good price points that seem to sell well. And once you've done this, I can now take this and I can say, you know what, let's go put that in a chart and let's look at it. So here's my tallest peaks. So what are those prices? But it does give you some information. It was really quick. I didn't have to do anything SQL wise. I just clicked on this, summarize, and picked a column, and here I go. I go and create a chart, and there it is. So Metabase is really, it's amazing. I really like it. I can't say enough good things about it. So I will link you again to the video on Metabase, and basically I go through how to set it up and how to run it, and it's really great. And again, Docker, so it's really awesome. So my next one is Jitsi Meet, and I've done a few different things with Jitsi Meet, but I use this for my Lubbock users group again. So we have meetings every month, and we do meetings on Jitsi Meet, and this is just my own installed version of Jitsi Meet on Docker again, and we just meet every month and have good meetings together, and doesn't use a lot of resources. It's really great because we have video and audio, and especially during this time where we're all being keeping separate and trying to do it virtually anyways, it's really great. But even once everything's kind of back to normal and they get together in person, I can get on and join the meeting, or other people who may not be able to be there in person can get on and join the meeting virtually, and we have a great night every month with our meeting for just talking Linux and talking nerd stuff and talking about all kind of things we're doing lately. So NetData, I also run. I've never done a video on NetData, but I just wanted to kind of show this. Again, I keep promising to do a video on NetData, and I just haven't done it yet, but I need to. It's a really cool system that you can run, and again, you can run this in Docker. You get a little bit more information if you run it on bare metal, but Docker seems to give me a lot. And this is actually NetData running on that SSD Nodes server. So you can see right now there's almost nothing going. The CPU is really low, and even when we were doing our meeting the other night, it was staying really low. The memory and the network bandwidth just really didn't go much above what you're looking at right now. I think the memory was maybe over here, the RAM, but that's it. But yeah, I mean, this is a really cool way to visualize what's happening on your server. It goes along with all of those CLI tools that I've talked about in the past. Those are some more that I haven't brought up yet, but I do use on a regular basis on a lot of my machines. But yeah, as you scroll down, NetData just has all kinds of cool information that you can look at, and it has a configuration files that are text files that you can go through, and you can kind of say, I really want to just configure this to only show me certain parts of these things, and you can kind of create your own dashboard of information about your system, which is really cool. So NetData is a really cool one that I also do run, and I will be doing a video about in the future. And then now we're back to my show notes .opensourceisawesome site, and this is where I've been putting show notes for the last couple of months, it looks like here. I try to remember to do them each week, but I give you a little bit of detail. So like MySQL Workbench is one that I did the other day, and I do use MySQL Workbench as well. It's an installed application that helps you work with MySQL data. It's a really, really nice GUI application that just, if you've ever used a SQL Server Management Studio or anything like that, then MySQL Workbench would look very familiar to you, but it's for open source MySQL, and it's open source software as well. But I do talk about what it's for. I give you a little bit of an image. I tell you how to go get it, what kind of things you're gonna be able to do with it, and then how to install the community edition basically. And again, most of my stuff is about how to install things on Ubuntu. I just use Ubuntu based Linux for most of my stuff. I really just haven't ventured away from it much lately. I've tried Fedora in the past and it was okay. I've tried Arch in the past and it was fine. But I've just found that when I want to just sit down and get work done, Ubuntu seems to be the best one for me. And I'm a person who, when I sit at the computer, I'm sitting at it because I want to do something, not because I want to fiddle around with it for the next 30 minutes trying to figure out what happened while I wasn't looking at it. So Arch was definitely a little bit painful for me and not something that I enjoyed. But there's MySQL Workbench. So now I want to talk about some of the CLI tools I've told you guys about in the past, which is top. I think I've covered htop. So I do use htop. This is a really great CLI tool for just getting some real quick information about CPU cores and memory and things like that, and what's using up a lot of your space. So that's htop. It's really great. I've got some videos out there on it. I also use vtop, which is a nice graphical looking thing that runs in the terminal, lets you know what's going on in your system, lets you see the top processes that you're running, RAM usage and CPU usage. And then gtop, also a really, really nice one. Gives you a little bit more information, kind of broken out in a different way. Very easy to install these things, and again, I'll link you to the video for these. I think I just called it the tops, but they're really great. They just give you some really quick information right inside the terminal window. And then this is a program called Terminator, which I haven't really done a separate video on it, but the nice thing about it is you can kind of expand it out here, and then I can tell it, split this thing vertically. And then on this side, now I can run htop, and then I can say, split this one, maybe not. Split this horizontally first. Now I can run vtop here and htop here. So now I've got a whole bunch of things that I'm looking at to kind of monitor my system. Some of them are redundant, but it gives you a lot of information really quickly. And I like Terminator. It's really cool. Let you split the terminal up like this. I think Tmux does the same thing. So there's a few different terminal applications that can do this, but Terminator is really great. It's in the repository. It's easy for me to install. And when you're done, you just hit Q, and that quits out of them. and then you can exit from each pane. So one that I actually left off of my original recording here, and you'll notice all the tabs are gone here at the top for the most part, is Jellyfin. And I use Jellyfin every single day, so I don't know why it slipped my mind. I guess just because it's always there. I don't really use it on my computer. I really use it through the row queue, and I've got a video out there that shows you how to set up Jellyfin and how to set up the volumes running in Docker, and then how to connect your row queue to that. But really, this is one of my most favorite tools out there. It's open source. You know, I started on Plex like many of you a long time ago when Plex had first come out. It was a great way to self-host your videos. They had a really nice user interface, and they still do, and Plex offers some really cool stuff, but a lot of their features are based on having an online account with Plex and doing some other things like that. So it wasn't my favorite. And then MB came out, and MB kind of had a new promise of we're going to do some open source things and we're going to be better, which was great. And then little by little, I think they realized, you know, it's really a lot of work to build something like this, which I totally understand. You know, again, I work for a company that makes proprietary software, and software is hard. Software takes a lot of effort and a lot of engineering time. But you know, the MB guys kind of switched it on us and said, you know what, we're going to close source this thing, and we're going to go kind of the route that Plex did, which was fine, I guess. You know, I understand the decision, but again, I like things that I can own and self-host and have some control over. I don't like things that force me into something that I don't want to be in, I guess. So I started looking around and I found Jellyfin, which Jellyfin is a fork of MB before they closed source everything. And the guys on Jellyfin have really been working on this project, and they've actually been re-engineering it quite a bit to use some newer technologies and some better technologies that are lighter weight. But Jellyfin is a media player. It's very much like MB, very much like Plex if you've used any of those. So I've got just lots of my movies and lots of TV shows and lots of TV series and things like that on here that I use this to play. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to talk about KdenLive. So I do use KdenLive to do a lot of my video editing. The other one that I use is Shotcut, and I've done a video on that one as well. I really like Shotcut. I like the workflow. I'm pretty smooth with it, but I've noticed that KdenLive gives me a few things that Shotcut doesn't. So far, I keep checking back with Shotcut to see what improvements they're making. Shotcut seems to be a little lighter weight and honestly runs a little bit more stable sometimes than KdenLive for me when they do updates with KdenLive. But overall, I like the workflow in KdenLive as well, and I'm fairly proficient with it. Now, switching between them, they're slightly different, so I kind of forget sometimes which way I'm working, and I try to do things using the wrong shortcuts, and that costs me a little bit sometimes in time. But other than that, I do use KdenLive quite a bit for my video editing and things like that. And it's got a lot of really great features and a lot of great effects and things like that. I don't use 99.9% of the effects. I use very few effects. I use things for titles. I fade in, I fade out, and I adjust the size and position of things occasionally on the screen. And once in a while, I use the volume changer because I tend to forget that my microphone is not attached to my body, and I move closer to the screen to see something, and I get out of the range of the microphone, and it goes really low. So I apologize for the sound changes that do happen during my videos sometimes. But yeah, KdenLive is a really great one. So again, I'll link to that video up there. This one I use all the time for cutting videos. Shotcut I use quite a bit as well still for video editing. So two really great open source projects there for video editing. So if you're a video editor and you're looking for something like that, definitely suggest KdenLive for you to look at. Shotcut has some really cool stuff. They both have keyframe capabilities, which I'm not that much of an advanced editor, but I know that keyframing lets you do a whole lot of really cool stuff. I'd like to get more into it. I just haven't had the time to sit down and focus on something like that. I really actually enjoy video editing. I'm probably not the best video editor because I don't do it that much, but I actually have a lot of fun doing it. And I'd love to learn some things kind of like if there's an open source version of motion graphics, I guess would be the thing, where you can add a lot of other effects and kind of really increase the capabilities of your videos. I think that'd be really awesome to have some things like that to mix in with KdenLive and Shotcut. I haven't gotten that far, but if I do, I will definitely do some videos on that as well. And I've got some videos out there that you guys have requested that I'll be doing, so kind of keep up with me on those. That's really, I'm sure I actually use more than these that I've actually gone through and shown you guys in the past, but all the ones that I'm talking about here and that I'm showing you, first of all, I run them in Docker. For all of those things, though, that I'm running here in Docker, I also use NGinX Proxy Manager to proxy the traffic to those things and make sure that their web pages actually take you to the right place, so that their domain names and URLs take you to the correct place whenever you type them in. So that's kind of how I use all of the things that I've shown you guys. I really do use the stuff that I'm showing you 99% of the time, I guess. There are some that I've done that I don't use because I don't have a use for them in my personal life, but I do a lot of research to try to put together good videos for you guys. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you appreciate it. And I want to say thank you again to all of you guys who have subscribed on YouTube. I totally appreciate that. It really makes a difference in the way that YouTube presents my videos to new people and people looking for new videos. I appreciate all of the people who are using my different codes for getting DigitalOcean signups or getting SSD Nodes signups and Hover signups. I do use Hover for a lot of my DNS, so I appreciate that as well. And then especially thanks to the Patreon patrons out there. I really appreciate you, supporting me and supporting my efforts. I hope that you're getting a lot out of my videos, and I hope that it's helpful. I've been having a blast doing this thing. I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing to support me and interact with me, so keep it up. If you enjoyed this, tell your friends about it, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.